everyone, and thank you for joining us on Polywine today, where we'd like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from various sources of media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. So here in the U.S. this weekend is Father's Day weekend. Well, actually, it's just Sunday, but why not give dads the full weekend? So open up that grill, throw in some steaks and shrimp on the barbie, and kick back and enjoy. And if you want, in the background, you can play the U.S. Open. That's on, the NBA Finals. And not only is the action happening on the court at the NBA Finals, there was a huge brawl at the Celtics game last night. So not only is the action just on the court, it's also in the stands. So wild times there. And please also show your support. This weekend is the U.S. Olympic trials in swimming. So go U.S. Swimming. We are huge USA Swimming fans here in our home. So go team go. Very excited there. If it's a little hot for you and you want to maybe step outside, go to the movies, a great movie for dad is the new Bad Boys 4 movie, Ride or Die, with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. And it seems to be very well received. It had a very good opening box office weekend, so enjoy that. And if you want something for the kids, Inside Out 2 is out, and that looks really cute. Inside Out 1 was just a great, fantastic movie. I mean, if it doesn't capture all the emotions that goes inside of a person in general, but especially a child, it's just great. So, and the great thing about Disney movies and Pixar movies is they really know how to connect to each generation watching the movie. They really connect to that humor and reach out. So like if you have a grandparent taking a child to the movie, well, there's humor that reaches each generation, the grandparent and the child, and everybody enjoys a great time. So if you have grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren, enjoy. It's going to be a good weekend at the theater, so have a good time. But if you're not interested in going to the movies, you can also stay home and do a fair amount of streaming. So if you want, you can head over to Hulu and watch Bratz. It's a documentary that Andrew McCarthy, a member of the Brat Pack in the 80s, he released his documentary kind of talking about what it was like being in that period at that time, just being this huge sensation, like this teen, pop culture sensation. It was just incredible at the time, like St. Elmo's Fire, 16 Candles. Oh my God, there's so many. Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Molly Ringwald, all of them. There's more. I'm just throwing a few out there. So that's on Hulu. So if you have a family member that loved that time period, was a big fan of the 80s, they should really enjoy that documentary. And it looks good. I'm probably going to end up watching it at some point. Also, on Sunday, on Father's Day, well played and perfect timing on HBO Max, House of Dragon is back. It's been on a very long hiatus. It is, I'm guessing, the prequel of Game of Thrones, right? But it's been on a long break. I actually have to go back and probably watch like the last 2 episodes of season 1. I remember some scenes, but I have to go back and remember just so I get all the details. So when I start watching the first episode, it'll kind of bridge it back. So House of Dragon is back on, and that should be really good. I hope there's a few more candles in the show. I just feel like it's so dark. I have sometimes a hard time watching it, and I'm not a huge sci-fi person. I am not a sci-fi person, but I do enjoy watching this show. I know a lot of people that are into it, so I enjoy watching it as well, and I do think that it's pretty cool. But it's just so dark, and I'm watching it at night, and I feel like I can't see everything that's going on. So I hope maybe they throw up a couple extra candles or a torch in there or something so I can see the setting, or at least something a little bit better in there, just so I'm not squinting and trying to find out what's going on. I feel like I'm missing a lot of action. But I'm excited to see that. That should be a really good watch. Also, I don't know if you have Apple TV or Apple Plus, there's an interesting documentary called The Big Con. And that is about a Kentucky attorney who he actually had the largest Social Security fraud in U.S. history. And it was him, this attorney in Kentucky, and it was this judge right on the bordering town in West Virginia. And it's interesting because in the documentary, the journalist who was like, I'm trying to figure out, is he like a modern day Robin Hood? Because he took from the rich, which essentially is kind of like the US government that had this money, right? Just sitting there in Social Security. And he ended up giving it to the poor, those who really needed the assistance with monthly Social Security benefits. And the fraud is, there were so many in this docuseries that truly needed that help, that had disabilities, that needed that financial assistance to survive and to feed. And I'm sure there's some that did not need it and used it just against the system. Absolutely. I'm sure there was. But once this case broke out, and I got to tell you, it was like the largest U.S. fraud against the Social Security Administration. It was like $550 million. It was insane. But the fault of it is that immediately once everything kind of hit and the court case hit and the press got out, the Social Security Administration immediately canceled the benefits of everybody that received them underneath this attorney and judge in this Appalachia area. And it ended up devastating them more because the one attorney was saying not only is it financially crushing those who've lost the benefits that truly need this disability and are not able to work, but those dollars also end up going into our community, our businesses, our tax dollars, and losing that money for those individuals. And, these are coal mining town. These are hard working roots of America people. And I am from West Virginia originally. So this really does hit home. This is my home state in Kentucky, my bordering state. My heart will always be there. So I truly feel for these people affected by it, but it also affects the town, the ripple effect, this very widespread ripple effect that has happened to these large communities, very large communities, because it's widespread and it was a lot of people. So that was a really good documentary. I know it's probably got mixed reviews and maybe I'm a little biased because, like I said, I am from that area further away in the state, but, I am a native West Virginia, mountain mama right at you for sure. You can take the girl from the mountains, but the mountains never leave the girl. That's for sure. And that is me. So it was interesting to see the con and the fraud of it all, just to how this guy got away with it and how it was just brazen how he flashed his money everywhere when, how he's just ripping off the system. That's the attorney, the con guy. But he also did do a lot for the community. So when the journalist who was being interviewed throughout this docuseries, he was like, when I was, following this guy and interviewing this guy, and the lawyer himself, the Kentucky lawyer, was definitely, was it Eric C. Kahn was his name? He was definitely a narcissist, but, how he did do a lot. So there was a weird kind of paradox of how, you don't want to like him because yet he's a criminal, but yet he did a lot of good. But the negative ripple effect that has happened afterward has just been very devastating. Pardon me. And also just so tragic to so many who didn't deserve such cruelty, to be cut off from such an income immediately and just, plummet into such an immediate level of despair is just heart-wrenching to see. So a good documentary, but remember the people that are really affected. But I have to say, the one guy in that documentary that stole the show was the giant guy in the overalls. And I mean giant in the best way. He looks like the sweetest cuddly teddy bear, in the overalls. And so funny, really funny, very witty. Everything that I can, that I envision a good old country boy to be. And I am a big fan of him. He is adorable. And I guess he ended up doing a couple rap songs for him, or like one rap song for a video. And he was just hilarious. And he stole that docuseries. So pardon me, I forgot your name in the movie, but I absolutely loved you. And if you ever want to reach out to us on Polywine for an interview, just to chime in and join in, you're my type of guy, and I loved you. So Polywine time on Instagram, don't forget us. Please call in. You were great. I giggled every time you showed up on the TV, and just how jovial you were, and just so matter of fact, and just so down to earth. Oh my God, I just adored him. So please come in and be a part of the show if you want to. I would love you. Also on Hulu, I forgot to mention that there's also a mini series called Clipped. That's about the Donald Sterling scandal with his, I don't know what I would call it, mistress, with that Vivian lady that was just quite diabolical about being famous. I mean, he was just, Donald Sterling seemed just to be a hideous person. Absolutely. I mean, it is not everything that came out, and I don't know if you remember the scandal. I think it was like the early 2010s. But a lot of tapes were leaked from Donald Sterling, who was one of the owners in the Clippers, and they had actually had a really good season, and they were in the playoffs, and he was being recorded by this mistress that he had, and friend, whatever you want to call her. There was different terms used in the show, how she identified as herself, as her partner or friend, friendly companion, whatever. There were multiple references. But she recorded him, and he just scathing, awful things to say. Just utterly deplorable things. He just sounds like a deplorable human being. He really does. So just gross, but decent watch nonetheless. And Hulu's really trying to crank out some stuff, getting ready for that summer break. So let's go Hulu. Enjoy. Now, moving over to some reality TV. There's a lot happening right now. A lot's coming up. We've got the summer swing in full season. That I just read. Although the Valley, Jesus, I can't even talk. The Valley just wrapped up, and Brittany, run fast. Run fast, Brittany. Don't look back. The fact that you're like, do you want me to leave? You were giving Jax an option. The fact that there was just the slightest crack in that door where you would be willing to walk back in for this piece of shit is unfreaking believable to me. But, I mean, you kept saying that. What are you going to do to make me stay? Are you just going to let me walk away and leave? Yes, Brittany. He clearly told you the break was nice, and don't you think it's been nice? Don't you think it's been nice? And you're like, you want me to leave? You were. It sounded like there was still doubt, or that you were. If he would say the right thing to you in that moment, that you would maybe think about coming back. And that's what scared me, Brittany, because you've already had that moment to build up the courage to leave. All right. You left. You got fed up. You were sick enough of his shit to walk away, that you left your own home. By the way, Jack, you seem even douchier. The fact that you would not leave your home. And she made a reference. She's like, I'm from Kentucky, and a man would never do that. And I know in the social media world, she got a little bit of a slack for that. But I just said a few minutes ago that I am originally from West Virginia. I am that Appalachia kind of girl. And there is something to be said for that. There is a little bit of traditional, old school kind of way of thinking about that thing. Not at all, but in some. And she's from a little bit more of a rural area, more of country. And sometimes those traditional things just kind of hold on, right? That way of thinking. And I understood what she was saying, I guess I'm trying to say. I kind of understood what she was saying because, yeah, she should not have had to leave that home with her child. The fact that you had to uproot your kid and take that child somewhere else because she did not feel like it was a healthy environment for them to be in. Shame on you, Jack. And Jack's like, this is a really nice house. I'm not leaving. I'm not saying it's not a legally smart thing to do, because it kind of is smart, but just the ultimate douchery thing to do. I mean, I don't like this guy. And then you've got the other couples that are breaking up. The Michelle and Jesse, done. Jax and Brittany, done. Then you have, Jason and Janet? They just had their baby. Very cute baby. But nope, not a Janet fan. And at the end of last season, in the finale, I have to tell you, Jason, everybody was really on your side. You lost me a little bit. I don't know. Something about that whole scene just didn't play well for me. I didn't like it. I do like Zach. I'm Zach all the way. I like Jasmine. I think she is a great addition. Yeah. So Zach, Jasmine, I find them to be a fantastic addition. You have to have the single kind of people. Well, she's not single. She's in a relationship. But the fact that she's not in a couple relationship, Jasmine, on the show, and she's out there just as like the strong single woman on the show where everybody else is kind of like a hot mess couple. I really like her. Zach brings a little bit of the drama, the flair, but also the really good, supportive, good friend. And that is the type of friend, my girls, you want. Okay? So the Valley is over, but it was a good season. Unexpected for this season. I mean, I didn't really expect for this show to be that good, but pleasantly surprised. And I would think that they would be renewed for the second season. I mean, it's going to be a great cast. I mean, do you think it's going to, are they all going to come back? All the couples, like the two couples that are divorcing, are you going to see the strains of the relationship? Because, Bravo, ever since the whole Vanderpump Rules scandal, the Scandival, they really like to stretch out a breakup, like you have on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. They're going to stretch out that Kyle and Mauricio divorce for a long time. They are. Scandival, they beat that horse to death. Pardon the expression. I know it's a harsh expression, but you understand what I'm saying. It's just an expression. I was so over it. It was so played out by the end, and I was over it. And I very impressed with Ariana throughout this season. Like, she stood her ground. I've said it again. She stood her ground. I thought she was stoic in a lot of things. Of course, she's going to lose her shit in a few scenes. She's allowed to. And who wouldn't want to lose their shit if you're stuck having to film with that moron Sandoval? Okay? Personal opinion there. Sorry, Tom. It would take a lot for me to ever come over on your narcissistic side. So just know that. But I'm always going to be on Team Ariana. I think she's so super smart. I think she's very savvy. And she is riding that success wave all the way to the bank. And I like it. And not on a side note, on Peacock, Love Island USA is out where she is hosting. So rah rah, team hurrah, Ariana, good for you. So, so season 2 of The Valley, are they going to kind of draw that break? I hope so. I'm sure it'll make really good TV, but then sometimes Bravo stretches it a little bit too much. And then it becomes just almost where the arguments, it's so stretched out, it becomes uncomfortable or just painful to watch. Because everybody's had that kind of breakup where it's a little bit toxic and it's just uncomfortable and you just want it to end and go over with, but you can't. And it just becomes too much to watch. And I think that's kind of what happened with the whole Scandival things at the end of the season of Vanderpump Rules. I hope they don't go there with The Valley. But I will be tuning in for season 2, and I hope it's good. And again, the baby's really cute, but I'm not here to see the baby. Please do not make season 2 with Justin and Janet all about the baby. The baby's cute. I got to say, Jessie and Michelle's daughter, the little girl who curses all the time, she is adorable. Absolutely adorable. But how she's kind of like sprinkled in through the show, like she kind of comes in and makes a funny little comment. Was it Isabella? Is that her name? That's perfect. That is the perfect amount. She's sprinkled in through where she's making she's dropping a quick little one-liner. And she's funny. She's really witty and super funny. So that is the perfect amount. So I like that. So if we kind of start to move over, but also on reunions, let's go to the Summer House reunion. There was part 2 this week of the Summer House reunion. And speaking of beating up breakups too long, is this the Lindsay and Carl, right? This horses should be put to pasture and let rest many, many months ago. Everybody in that house, I feel like, has some type, they probably are all medicated at this point, because to watch Lindsay and Carl fight incessantly is just too much. And it's just nonstop. And I'm sorry, I'm going to state again and again and again that everyone knows that Lindsay may not be the most delicate, easygoing person in the world. She's not. She is the very first person to admit that if you want somebody to cuddle and stroke your ego and pat you on the back, and as you get up every morning, feed you daily affirmations of how wonderful and special you are, and I'm talking about you, Carl, she's not your girl. She's not that type of person. And she's the first person to say it. And she made a few comments to, I think it was Danielle one time. She was like, he wants me to comfort him, something to that effect. And I started laughing every time and she's like, and I'm not that person. So she knows it. She owns it. And she is telling you, like, that's not me. And you know me. We've been friends for a very long time. And that's kind of the one thing that you've always understood about me. I'm a no nonsense kind of girl. I don't take shit from anyone. That's who she is. So the fact that now that's a problem, he can't stand it. But I don't like how everybody's turning on her, because now Carl's the victim, and I can't handle this weakness that Carl's putting out there. I understand that in a breakup, it is never easy, and having to do that in front of everybody I'm sure there's an area of vulnerability to put out your personal stuff out there, but that is what you signed up for when you came onto a reality show. And you're the one, I don't care what Andy says, because it came out in the reunion that Andy kept repeating over and over that production did not, I'm going to paraphrase to it, that production basically did not set up for the breakup. They were called to film, not knowing production ahead of time that Carl was going to break up with Lindsay. Now, I think everybody kind of knew that was, it was 50-50. Either it was going to be an epic fight that the cameras were coming back to film in their apartment for after it had that luncheon with Carl. Either it was going to be an epic fight or it was going to be a breakup. To me, I don't see how, there's no other way, right? It's either one or the other, because that's all you pretty much have had this back and forth with the entire summer. So it had to go either way. So the fact that production was coming back to film, you're going to get one or the other. So even though Andy was like, we were not called back, production, to specifically film for the breakup, that may be so. But I guess Lindsay kept inferring to the fact that she felt that production was aware that the breakup was happening, and she felt blindsided by that. I guess I can see where she would think that. I could see from her perspective why she would think that. To me, that would kind of make sense. But I hate it. The whole way it was handled, I think, was just cowardice and gross. I've said that over, and I can't. Even those moments where Carl can be cute and charming, that is null and void now. You don't do that to someone who is a friend of yours for that long, who supported you for that long, and someone that you said that you truly loved. You just don't do that. And I like the fact that she had her girl tribe that stood up a supporter. I am a little upset the fact that strong connection in the girl, or that strong bond, is starting to falter a little bit in her girl tribe. I can understand why. There's some history, some rocky roads in the past with a lot of the connections with those girls. But I just don't like how everybody is just going like full guns blazing for Lindsay, and it really bothers me. Like I said, you don't have to like her, you don't have to love her, but I just don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair. And I'm just going to give her grace on this, is that she gave Carl that out so many times, right? She kept saying, do you want to keep working on this? Do you not want to go through with a marriage? Do you not want to be with me? And over. So you had your out, and you could have done that. And again, you could have done it in private. I'm sorry. There's certain things that, unless there was a huge blowout and it just came out naturally when you were already filming, that's one thing. Like that whole filming thing. Does anybody remember the Real Housewives of Miami when Lenny, oh my gosh, what is her name? The plastic surgeon, he leaked out that he was basically having an affair on his wife. Yeah. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, but I'm absolutely drawing a blank on her name. But remember he was caught on that hot mic. And he was saying that even though he was there to support his wife, oh God, what is her name? Lisa's her name. Yes. He was caught on that hot mic saying, okay, I'm here to essentially support Lisa at this party, because they were having a party. And he was talking to a friend in another room about how he has this girl on the side and he's no longer in love with his life or his wife. He's just there to basically get through filming the season, and then he was leaving her to go be with his mistress. Now that was on a hot mic, and although very unfortunate, it was juicy, right? I mean, like, when that dropped, you're like, oh, what? Hold on. Rewind and play that again. Yes, that is what I overheard on that hot mic. Yes. Now that moment, that seemed like that was just happened on the fly, in the moment, in the scene, right? Like that was not planned. That didn't seem like it was planned to me. Like that just was caught. And I think and especially remember when you had the camera like trying to like follow him around and keep catching him, because he's like, oh my God, I think I have a mic on. Because even the guy that he was talking to, Lemmy, the friend, was like, do you have a mic on right now? And the camera guy was trying to like discreetly follow him around and catch him on camera. And that whole scene, like, because you know that the people in like editing and in film were like, wait, did you just hear what I just heard? He just said that, right? And you know the camera guy was probably getting the cue in the ear, like, go follow him, go zoom in on his face, what he's saying. I want to be able to read those lips. I want it caught on film. That was a great moment. Now this moment on Summer House was very different. Like the cameras were called back in. I don't like it. I think I do feel like she was kind of set up. The production might say they weren't a part of it, but I disagree. I mean, like, okay, if they say they weren't a part of it, they weren't aware. I get that. I understand. You were not aware that is exactly what you were showing up for. But I mean, it kind of had to go in one of the two directions. So again, Lindsay, I hear you. Have you watched the new season of Below Deck Med? I gotta say, I mean, I really like most of the Below Deck series, and Below Deck Med's been one of my favorite. I miss Captain Lee on just the original Below Deck. He will always be my favorite, my Poppa. But I really like him. But I've always enjoyed Below Deck Med, right? It's kind of a little bit more in the extremes. The Caribbean's beautiful, but the European it's great. I like Australia a lot as well. And I think that Aisha did a really great job last season. And I like her and Captain Jason together. And I do really enjoy Captain Sandy and Aisha together as well. But I feel that this is going to be a really good season. And I hope I'm not wrong here, because there's a lot of really young green people on the show. And typically when you have the newer people, it's sink or swim. But some really, not many thrive. Some do rise to the challenge, and others epically fail. I mean, there's a lot of emotion. There's crying, many tears, a lot of emotional breakdowns, throwing things, banging things. Kyle, I think, has cried the most on a lot of these shows. But wait, let's not forget Roxy's dive. The giant swan dive off the top app of that one yacht with Captain Lee. Like that may have been the best exit off a boat. I mean, the whole time I was like, oh my God, please don't hurt yourself, because that looked like it was shallow water. But beautiful dive. But that was the most dramatic exit and breakdown, where she just started stripping off her clothes, stripped off her mic, and just walked right out the doors and jumped off the boat. She left her bags. She left all of her belongings, didn't even care. She just, boom, exited, deck left. It was crazy. So there's a lot of green crew. And I feel like there's going to be a serious breakdown in the stews. Like I kind of feel a little bit for Aisha. Like she's already has her hands full. Like the one girl, gosh, what is her name? Elena. I think Elena's going to be a little bit of a shit stirrer, right? She's going to be stirring that bubbling cauldron of drama, I think, the entire time, and adding dashes of, extra drama on top of it, just to kind of, she wants to be a chief stew. So she wants to get herself noticed and recognized. And I don't think it's really going to go well. And the fact that she went to wake the chef and he didn't wake up, and she got called out for it in the crew meeting afterwards by Captain Sandy, that really upset her. You could see her starting to spiral after that meeting, when Captain Sandy's like, whatever you do not wake the chef. Maybe on a larger boat when there's more than one chef, but we only have one chef. He works all day. At some point, this guy's got to sleep. Now, I have to, my personal opinion, I think she should have woke the chef, and I think the chef absolutely dropped the ball. And I do think, what is his name? Jono? I think there's going to be a problem with him. I'm sorry, I'm looking up his name. It's Jonathan, but I think he goes by Jono or something like that. I think there's going to be some drama issue with him. Like he's got a strong personality. And although he seems very talented, he seems like a very talented chef, and anyone who's ever worked in the restaurant business know that typically chefs they're artists. They are absolute artists at their craft, but they're very dramatic and emotional, and you get a lot of drama with them at most times. If you're going to come in, especially on an extremely busy night, the height of the dinner rush, everyone in that restaurant, from the servers to the barbacks to the busboys to the dishwashers to the bartenders, all know, do not mess with the chef, especially if they're expediting during the rush. You don't, unless there is an emergency when it comes to the food or something else that's going on, pretty much primarily with the food. Don't interrupt the chef. It is he or she has a very well-oiled system, machine, to get that food in and out, to get that plate hot onto that customer's table. Do not interrupt them. But I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen huge meltdowns. I've seen epic fights in kitchens. I've seen it all. Not much shocks me. And but I have to say, I love all my chef friends. They are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. But when somebody's great at their job, you respect them and don't interrupt them. So I get it. And like anything, and especially in a lot of the restaurants businesses, a lot of those chefs have worked their way up, so they earned their title and their position. So, they know the ins and outs, give them their space. But I just feel like there's something going to go on, because I feel like that chef really dropped the ball because he didn't prepare that night shift food. And evidently the charter guest pretty much requested nighttime food. I want cocktails, I'm going to be up all night, late night partying. So I want constant drinks and I want finger food. That seems like a pretty normal request. Usually anytime you have a lot of alcohol, especially late night, you have to have food to serve with it. Kind of, takes the edge off. And the chef didn't prepare anything. This poor girl, Elena, who is not the most seasoned steward, she really had a hard time, trying to manage cocktails, service. And then when you have the charter guest asking for food, and she goes to the chef and be like, I can't do it all. I can't balance it off. I can't give decent service, make drinks, do this, and make food. I can't be all these positions, and I'm only one person. It's impossible. And the chef saying, no, I'm not doing that. And then when he was in his confessional saying, I have boundaries and I just have to do me, I think that was the most unprofessional response. And Captain Sandy, I hope that you get to see that. I really wish editing would show you that, because somebody with that type of attitude, it's me, not team. It's only me or I in this, I'm not here for the team. That's some serious bullshit. And when you're on a boat, you need everybody as a team. And for him to say that, I think was absolutely unprofessional, and he probably shouldn't be on that boat, because that when the shit hits the fan and you need a little bit more of him than just his job description, you're probably not going to get it. And he just left that girl high and dry. And somebody else came into the into the kitchen and started helping her out. But to see her struggle like that, she was a mess. And we all understand that expression and what it's like to be in the weeds when you're in the restaurant business. And that girl was in the weeds. Like she was buried. And that's not really fair. So, and then for the fact that the next day during the meeting that Captain Sandy was like, no, you don't wake the chef. I understand that, but she did call the chef saying you have to prepare food because they did request that, and that is what is expected. I feel like this situation is going to be happening again, right? I feel like there's going to be a repeat of this situation on another charter, right? That she's going to be up late at night. The guests are going to be asking a lot of the stew. She's going to be all over the place because she's not a very seasoned bartender. Pardon me, bartender. So she's going to get in the weeds again. And anybody who's ever been in that experience or been in that situation, just one slight distraction can really throw you off in a really negative way, right? You can be in the weeds, but have like a steady groove. But when you have that one thing that is a slight distraction, then everything, it's like a domino effect, then everything starts to fall, right? Because it just throws that groove into a whole other rhythm, and it's a disaster. And then you can't recover, and then that's when like meltdown happens. So, and I feel like not only is that going to happen to probably Lena, but then you have the other really new girl. Her name is Brie, and I believe they said she's from South Africa. I have a little bit of a difficult time with her accent. It's pretty thick, and there are red flags all over the place with this girl. First and foremost, when she said, I've been in yachting for 2.5, if not 3 years, and I've never completed a full season. Whoa, that is a major red flag. Hello. That one's flagging, waving that flag, and it setting off neon colors, sparklers. Run, Aisha, you should have, like, day one, be like, oh, I think we're going to go in a different direction. And then the whole ironing situation where it took her, I think, about a day to steam certain clothes. And then she's throwing herself on the one decky. I don't know about that. Like, I see a giant blow up happening there. I don't see that going well. And I don't see her making it through even half the season. If she does, I'd be highly surprised. And then you have what is that young Irish guy? He's super, super adorable. That accent gets me every time. it reminds me so much of home and family. It just gets me. But he's really in a very kind of nonchalant, relaxed kind of way, chasing that really cute girl. Gail is her name. And she's like, no, I have a boyfriend. I'm not like that. Platonic relationships are totally, they can totally happen amongst boys and girls. That went out the window extremely quick. I mean, the first night they went out, they had like a drink. And next thing you know, she's like, where can we go where it's quiet and there's no cameras? So, sometimes these boatmances, go well and they're cute and they're adorable. And other times it's just hot. The whole ship will catch on fire. So I don't know where this one's going to go, but I think he's super cute. I really like him. But the chef, I'm concerned about. The boatmances that are happening, I don't see that going well. I see this season full of very high drama. And sometimes that happens. And those are usually the really good seasons. So Below Deck Med, it's going to be a good season, I think. Now, some other Bravo shows. I could not talk about Bravo if we did not go down the Real Housewives. Let's do a giant nesty plunge into the Real Housewives pool. Real Housewives of New Jersey, it's back. What do I say about this season? I of course, I love me some Dolores and just how monotone of emotion she is. She just cracks me up. But when she gets pissed, I love Patterson Catania. She cracks me up every time. But I can't stand any more of the Teresa Melissa thing. So I'm actually happy that they're not really doing anything with the Teresa Melissa fight. I'm over that fight. It's been played out. And I'm glad they're not talking. I don't want to hear them talk to each other. I don't want to hear her talk about each other. Done. So it's nice to see Teresa fighting with somebody else because Teresa, she's always been kind of, as much as I hate to admit it, she is the star of the show. I tell you every episode, I am not a Teresa fan, but she is the star of the show. And so every season she definitely has to get into a fight with somebody. So let's see her starting point this season, her group of friends. She's got Danielle and she has Jen Aiden. Although I do know that Dolores has always been Teresa's friend. They've been together forever as besties. I don't know. I feel like they've had little breaks in their relationship before, but I feel like this season something's going to happen that kind of puts a great divide in the relationship. I hope I'm wrong because I've said before, something has got to come down the pike with her boyfriend. He's gross. I don't like her boyfriend, Louis. He's so or husband now. He gives me scam artist, and she's already been scanned, conned, whatever you want to call it, with Juicy Joe. She's already gone to prison for that guy. All right. So, creature of habit, Teresa, you really are. Give you a really super dark purpley tan. Throw on a tank top, a guy with decent biceps and deltoids and Teresa's, and throw in a thick Italian Jersey kind of accent, throwing that hybrid accent in, and she is going to double down on that ticket. That's Teresa. Why? Learn your lesson. Learn your lesson. You would think prison would be a teachable moment, but no. Rinse and repeat for this girl. My goodness. But like I said, something has got to go awry with this guy. Yeah? He's definitely given scam artist, con artist vibes. And like I said, there's certain clips that you see where I feel like it's coming up. So I hope that Dolores will, even if I feel like there's a rift, I hope they come back together and she supports you because she was there when you went through the dark days with Joe. and your prison time, his prison time, and following post that where he was being deported and your divorce. So you guys have each other. So if it even goes bad between you two, I hope you can come back together and support each other when you really need it the most. Danielle, I'm interested to see where that relationship with Teresa is going to go, because, you know, she did invite Melissa to her fashion show in New York. And I bet you Teresa's going to get pissed off about that. I do. I think she's going to get pissed, and then the tide's going to start to change, right? Between her and Danielle. Then Danielle's going to be like, oh my God, Melissa, I'm really sorry. I was wrong in this situation, and you are right. I shouldn't have trusted her. She's not a very good person. And I think that's what's going to happen. Then you got Jen Aiden, right? Jen Aiden just had a meeting or a luncheon with Melissa, Teresa's absolute nemesis. So once Teresa finds out about those olive branches from her two clique people, you know, the two major people in her clique, I think she's going to have a hard time with that. I think and we know with Teresa, it's a lot of loyalty, you know, it's how you stand up and protect her. Now we all know that she's not always the best at reciprocating that loyalty to others, but she wants ultimate loyalty from you, for you to be her friend. If not, you're dead to her. So let's just see where those relationships goes now that Jen Aiden has reached out to Melissa, because she's like, I don't want to fight anymore. And, you know, I would like to see that happen. I'm interested to see where Danielle and Teresa go, because she reached out to Melissa. So more people are coming back over, and Melissa said, I'm not anti-Melissa. I am not anti-Melissa at all. I've always liked Melissa. I am over her and the Teresa thing. I'm over it. But I actually like her and Joe as a couple. I think they're an adorable couple. I think they're a loving family. Do they have their own things? Are they over, you know, their own drama? Are they over the top? Sure. But that's being a housewife. And they've made it this long. If there are any changes in the casting of Housewife, I know this is not going to be well received by many, but I personally think it's time for Teresa to go. Not that we turn on the Housewives for any, you know, morality check, right? You know, we watch the Housewives to see bad behavior and just, you know, just guilty pleasure, right? And I just can't watch Teresa do the same thing over and over again, make bad decision, to set people up, to lie, shame, defame them. I mean, it goes all the way back to the Kim D days, to the fashion show saying that Melissa was a stripper. I mean, it's every season, it's the same thing. I mean, Jackie, what are you doing coming back to Teresa after she went after you at your parking lot kind of weird party a season ago? Was it a season or 2 seasons ago? Maybe 2 seasons ago. But what happened there? That was a weird party, right? Maybe was it COVID? Maybe it was COVID. Maybe that was so space. But it was spatially weird, right? That party. But let's not forget about the party. But let's not forget that Teresa was walking around telling everybody that Jackie's husband was hooking up with people at the gym. So, and now that you want to come back and suddenly befriend Teresa because you just went back on the show because now that Jackie's just a friend of, you know, I don't like it. I think it's just desperate, clingy. I don't know. I don't like it. Marge is really going through stuff this season, and I feel for her. You can see she's spiraling a bit, and I think on any level, when you have just such a change in your life, that's tough. So I hope everybody comes together and helps Margaret in this challenging time, because you can see she's very emotionally vulnerable. And I really do like Margaret. I think she's just a firecracker, and I like her. I can't handle her house. I love her Tudor style house. But once you open that door, it is literally, to me, in my personal opinion, like going to the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, it's just psychedelic, colors everywhere, patterns puking in your face of everything. And I like the wallpaper. You know, I think if you had like an accent wall with some of that wallpaper and then maybe some just kind of plain, other walls to accent that to highlight the accent walls, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That would look really nice. But like every single wall is covered with a extremely loud decorative wallpaper. I like them, but not together and not that much of it. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Like, I literally feel like I get vertigo and dizzy anytime a camera like pans around the interior of her house. And I'm sure Margaret has she has excellent taste, but it's just too much. It's a lot, but she's really going through this. But like I was saying, I think she really needs her friends right now. I hope that people don't go in and start attacking Margaret. I already see Teresa trying to do that. Others going in dark. Don't do it, because I think Margaret, she will not only go scorched earth on you, I think she's kind of a creeper when it comes to getting her revenge. You know, like, she will sit and wait. It's a long game kind of thing. And I appreciate that. She'll be very cerebral about her attack. It might not happen right away, immediately. She might sit and wait, week, month, year, 2 years. But when the atmosphere is right, I think she will go in with her arsenal of whatever she has against Teresa, or whomever goes in against her. But right now it's definitely after Teresa. She will. And I'm excited to see it, because I think it needs to happen. I think I think her and Rachel Fuda need to band together, because those two are the only two that are like, I don't give a shit about Teresa. Everybody else kind of wants to suck up Teresa because she's the OG, right? She carries the show. She is the show in many respects. I don't think so, but many people think so. That's their opinion. But those two don't give a shit, and they're willing to take her on at all costs. And I like that. And I think that makes Teresa nervous. Having those two together, there's a little bit, not only is it a strong tour de force, right? But there's a little bit of that unpredictability, because you don't know who's going to come at you, when, or with what. And that is what's going to make it good. So Jersey, I am here. I like it. I'm ready for it. Now, I don't know if you heard this. Speaking about other housewives, did you hear that story about, I was reading it just a little bit ago on TMZ, that Kenya Moore from the Housewives of Atlanta has been suspended indefinitely from the show. And I am a Kenya fan. I like Kenya. She is, I think, kind of the villainess, if you will. A little bit, she's the Maleficent of Atlanta to me. And I like the character. I think when Kenya can be a friend, I bet you she's a good friend. I hope I'm not wrong there. But I bet you, to those who Kenya really loves and is close to and is ride or die, I bet you that's the girl you want when you need it. I think I see that in her. I see that in you, Kenya. But when you go against her, let hell have no fury. She will be unrelenting, and it is not over until it is completely over. And that is what Kenya brings. And I like that. I like that. You know, when she needs to shut it down, she will shut that shit down. When she wants to bring it up, and she will bring it up in an epic fashion. Can we just recall back to the Kenya Moore hair care parade with the live band? strolling through Marlowe's exhibit. I mean, fantastic. That is the way you do it. Kenya Moore hair care. That is the way you throw that in someone's face. And she brings it to the best degree. And she can be quite diabolical too. I like Kenya. And she's very multifaceted in her character. And that is what makes her a great cast on the show. But evidently, Kenya got the boot because there is a new cast member on Atlanta. And I guess her name is Brittany Eady, Eady. And allegedly, Kenya Moore has leaked photos or videos, and of her performing oral acts at her opening event for her salon. And that got out, and Kenya, and this is all allegedly, but this is what I was reading in TMZ early this morning because I got to get my morning TMZ feed. Always TMZ, Harvey Levin, love you. From one Harvey to another Harvey, love Harvey. I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. Kenya, have you not learned your lesson? Do you not remember Kenya with the fan and Portia attacked you and pulled you by your hair on the reunion? Do you not remember that was a teachable moment? Did you not learn from that? And you've had some other really good moments, Kenya. Like when you bring it, you bring it. But this one was just too tawdry. Even for Bra Bro, they're like, this is too tawdry. And plus, Candy's gone. And then there was that whole sex dungeon thing with Candy seasons ago that did not bode well. And so I don't really think you can go back into that kind of defamatory, types of allegations. I don't know. I don't know if these new girl Brittany has denied it. Or I'm not sure, but all I know now is that Kenya Moore has been indefinitely suspended from the filming of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I am sad. I am sad by this. Kenya, I love you, Kenya girl. Please, if you want to come on the podcast and talk about it, I am here. I have always been a Kenya fan, but if this is true, this might be a kind of a bad faux pas, a negative faux pas that you just can't come back from. And I'm really sorry. I've always been Team Kenya. I don't want to see you go. I hope that I'm sure from what incidents that have happened on Bravo in the past, there have been full investigations to see if there were any crimes or assaults or anything, I guess, whatever various incidents may happen, to see if there's any validity to those incidents, as there have been investigations. So I'm sure there will be an investigation into this allegation. But yeah, Kenya, suspended Kenya. I don't want to see you go, but Kenya, you in danger, girl. You're in danger, and I'm sorry. Moving over to another Real Housewives, the Real Housewives of Dubai. I enjoy watching Dubai. It's really, it's a show of excess, of opulence. I mean, there is nothing that's not kind of over the top in Dubai. Everything's brand new and marble and wow, just really kind of excessive. But I'm enjoying the new girl, Talene. I think I really like her. I think she's bringing a good mix to the cast. I like her. I don't know what it is. I guess I'm kind of putting it out there. I like Carolyn Stanberry. I think she's bitchy. I think she's saucy. I remember I enjoyed watching her on Ladies of London years ago. Yes, I have been a Bravo watcher for that long. Okay, I confess, it's true. But I liked her then. I thought she was definitely the standout of that show. That's why she got this show. I like her. I don't think this is going to be a good season for Lisa. I don't think she's coming off well, and I like her. She's beautiful, and I like her, but I think she's just coming off too bitchy. Her jokes definitely are not landing. And I'm a little nervous this might be her last season if she doesn't kind of turn it around in a different light. I love Chanel Ion. She's great. She's over the top, but she just brings a kind of kookiness that I really like. Her eccentricism, I like it. She's always overdressed for every occasion. She's dressed to not the nines, but to the millions, because she comes in this just couture, gorgeous outfit. And again, always out of place, but always looks spectacular. So you have to keep her. I really like Sarah. She brings a little bit of the snarkiness too. She tries to play off so holistic and spiritual and one with the universe. But she's quite petty and snarky. And I like that about her. It's kind of under the radar when she hits below the belt, but when she does, you're like, okay, Miss Zen, I didn't see that one coming, but I like it. But so I like Dubai. Is Sergio going to get what he wants? Is he going to get a baby or just the puppy? This dog's really cute, but is he going to get his baby? They already just, Carolyn said that she's got a few embryos on ice, but let's go back to the fact that when her friend talked about it last season, that when she was pregnant many years ago with her older kids, like she really had a difficult pregnancy. Not only was she, I think they said bed rest, but she almost died. And, childbirth, they make it sound so easy, but so many things can go wrong. And I also had difficult pregnancies and deliveries. So I understand. And just to think that you might have to do that again, I could see her hesitation on wanting to do it again. But is he going to get his baby? We'll see, because Sergio is definitely there for the cameras to put it on thick. And he's so cute, though. I like Sergio. And they seem to be happy and enjoying it. So let's see where that relationship goes. So Bravo's been pretty busy so far for the kickoff of the summer, out with the old and with the new. And so far, I'm enjoying the summer lineup. I think it's great. Now, I wanted to jump over quickly back to 90 Day Fiancé. I have to. I don't know why. I don't know why this story, this couple, if you will, they get to me. And it's the 90 Day Fiancé spinoff, Love in Paradise. And it's the sperm donor Kyle and Anika. Jasmine and Gino, they're it's like a safe place. They're right there every season, and it's comforting to have them. But there's a weirdness that is really presenting itself full center with Gino. Now, I've always known it's been there. And I'm going to tell you why. Because going back to one of the first seasons where Gino and Jasmine, when their story kind of came out, and I think it was just the original 90 Day Fiancé, is when Gino went over to Panama and was going to propose to Jasmine with the fake ring, by the way. And not only that, let's not remind everyone that was also the trip that he hadn't seen her in a long time. I think it was post-COVID. And he wanted to spoil her with this great gift he got her. And when she opened the gift, it was an electric toothbrush. So let's just start there. And then when they went away to like their romantic getaway weekend, she found out by someone, an ex of Gino's, reached out to Jasmine and sent Jasmine screenshot pictures of topless Jasmine that Jasmine had sent to Gino. And then Gino sent to an ex-girlfriend in a rage text saying, since you can't have me anymore, look what I've got now. Wow. Oh my God. So when she found that out, Jasmine, she went apeshit. I mean, berserk. And to the point where this scene cracks me up every time. Every time I think about it, I crack up. And I know I probably rewound that scene about 20 times. Is that Jasmine attacked Gino. Like, she just went, like, jumped off this bed in a very skimpy bikini, like Brazilian cut bikini, and started attacking Gino. And, like, the camera crew, and I'm guessing some form of security, ended up having to, like, basically pry Jasmine, and half naked Jasmine, off Gino after she found out that he was putting her naked pics out there to everyone. And then he denied it, even though he was clearly busted. She's like, you're the only one that has these photos, so how the hell are they getting out there? And if it's not you, then you need to prove to me that your phone was hacked. And he denied, and eventually he copped up to the fact that he lied to her. And yes, he did it in a retaliatory fashion to get back at his ex, which is just gross. So I've never been team Gino. I've always thought there's some weird stuff going on with him. But jump ahead several years later. She's now in the States. They're married. Poor girl is living in, I don't know where, Michigan. But, I mean, Panama is pretty beautiful, Jasmine. That's a tough leap. That's from sure. Panama to Michigan. And then that townhouse with Gino. But it's coming out that Gino has some weird hangups, and she believes that has an extreme addiction to porn, right? And there's got to be something to it, because I don't know if you remember last season, she talked about how that they're having a lot of intimacy issues. But she decided to take it up a couple notches, and she decided to do like this whole fantasy thing for him. And she ended up giving him a golden shower, right? And he was super into it. And I feel like and Gino's denying the fact that he's addicted to porn, but I feel like there's gotta be a couple different levels of steps, degrees, right? To jump from having intimacies to full golden shower and some like swinging off the chandeliers in the sex swing thing, right? Like, is there like a beginner, intermediate, and then advanced kind of level? I would think, but nah, evidently like Gina's jumps right in. So she's kind of putting it out there that he's got some weird stuff. And it's really kind of coming out this season now that the roles are reversed and Gina's not going to Panama. You know, Jasmine is now in Michigan. So she's in his element, Gina's element. And it's really kind of coming out that Gino's not this perfect guy that he's putting out there through the world, which I've never seen that side of him. I always think he was really kind of creepy to me. I think Jasmine's in the long game for her citizenship, and at this point she's earned it. Okay, just give it to her. The girl's earned it. She's been with Gina this long, she's earned it. But I hope that they do not last very long. I think this is highly a dysfunctional relationship. But I'm just saying, this year there's some weird shit coming out about Gino. And I like it because poor Jasmine's been vilified for all these years, and I'm not saying she has not had some just cause to look bad in these situations. She gets a little cuckoo. But I'm glad that's not all on her this time. And he's definitely coming out with his strange freakiness in certain things. So I'm glad that's coming out now. But going to some other freaky stuff. Let's get over to Kyle and Anika. I started to get into it, and then I got off a little bit on Jasmine and Gino, but now I'm going to get back on Anika. Okay. All right. Anika, she did it. She doubled down, and she went in with Kyle. Last week we left off, she was getting comfortable, and she went back to the Airbnb with Kyle, and she was like, we're just going to hang up. And as soon as she was like, we're laying down, it doesn't mean you're going to have sex. You know they're going to have sex. And of course, they pick up on the very first scene, or one of the first scenes of the new episode this week. And she was like, yes, it's true, we had sex. And she said, I have to tell you, that was the largest man appendage I have ever seen in my life. And even though I was lost in the moment, we had unprotected sex, and now I'm kind of panicking because I don't think I'm ovulating, but I could be ovulating, And even though this is how I met Kyle on the internet, is I met him out there. I knew, she said this, I didn't know this, and the last time I thought she just met him and then found out that he was a sperm donor. No. She said in this past episode, I found him because he was a sperm donor. I'm 39. I already have a daughter. My biological clock was ticking. I really, 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 really want to have a child. And once I met him, I kind of liked him and I felt there was more to it. And I saw way beyond that. He was just actually a sperm donor. Natural sperm donor, by the way. Participatory sperm donor. He doesn't do it in the cup. He is full participation. So that's where we are. But now we're dating. I don't want him to be a sperm donor. I want him to be monogamous only to me so we can actually be a real couple. But he won't give that up right now. But anyway, he, as an act of, I don't know, to show her that he's into the relationship, he went and got an STD test the other day. So thank God there's that. But still, here's your pasta at our dinner night, and here's my negative test results for my STDs. So that's, I guess, one highlight of dinner. But anyway, she did the deed. So the next day she's like, oh my God, what did I do? And can you fault her? I mean, she's been very clear. I am a single parent. I'm at that age. My biological clock is ticking, and I just want to have a kid. I want to have a kid. But I feel, Anita, I'm getting really worried for you, girl. Like, your picker is broken. I'm sure. And Malta is a gorgeous place. I got to tell you, Malta, you are now on my list of places I must go to. I'm totally intrigued, and as a history person, I'm very excited. You're on my wish list, Malta. But you can't tell me there is not an interesting man somewhere around there. Or, I think she's saying originally from Germany. So you travel. So you can't tell me you can't find another decent guy that does have a dress or some roots and stability somewhere that you can be like, maybe I'll procreate with this guy. He seems like a decent individual. I don't want to be in a relationship, but at least he seems like he'd be a competent father, right? Parent. This guy, she's already in it. Here she is. So now she had the choice. She just had sex with him. And I can't fault Anika, right? She's like, I'm single, been single for a long time. And, we all have needs. Now, can you fault her? Let me just put it in a different situation, if I may. And this is where I get Anita. We are all human. We all have needs. Now, Anita said, I have needs. I haven't had sex in a while. Now, let's paint in a different picture. If you are hungry, famished, starving, haven't eaten in days, and someone sets in front of you a perfectly prepared filet, I don't know, and let's pair that filet with a very rich, full body Chateauneuf de Poppa. It's one of my favorites. That is pretty irresistible. And if the person who prepared that filet and gave you that delicious glass of wine said, no strings attached. I see you're starving. This is for you. Enjoy. Would you not eat? Would you not go straight in to that center portion of that filet and guzzle it down with that amazing goblet of Chateauneuf de Poppa? I don't know who wouldn't. And then after you ate it all and enjoyed, and had that nice full belly and sat back, passed out and woke up the next morning and said, you know what? I'm not feeling so well. Maybe I probably shouldn't eat that filet and had that goblet of vino because now I'm not feeling so well. It's a little bit of kind of buyer's remorse, right? Maybe I was too gluttonous and had too much and now I don't feel so well. Well, that's Anika today, the next day after she just had sex with Kyle, right? She was like, okay, it was huge. I indulged. I went for the center cut. And now I am regretting that. And so she asked Kyle the next day, she was like, I think I should probably go get an ovulation test, because I just need that reassurance that I can't be pregnant. This has been a really rocky start in our relationship so far. This trip that you've made all the way out to Malta to come see me, it has been not the best experience. And I'm really questioning if I actually want to continue through a relationship with you. And even though I broke last night, I had a moment of weakness and we did the deed. Now I'm kind of regretting it, and I'm fearful that I'm pregnant because I had unprotected sex in the moment. So she's like, can you please stop at the store and get me an ovulation test? And he's like, yeah, no problem. When you come over to my house for dinner, please bring this test, because I'm kind of I'm freaking out. And any woman who's ever known that fear of I could be pregnant, that is straight raw fear. There is no fear like that fear. So she was like, please get this for me so I can end this fear, right? And he wouldn't do it. He told her first, sure, no problem, I'll pick up the test for you. But he wouldn't pick it up. So that really pissed me off, which now, he's been pretty upfront and open about who he really is as a person, which is a piece of shit. But now he's like, well, when he came over to her house later in the evening, she said, well, where's the ovulation kit? And he's like, well, about that. Oopsie. My job as someone who is a sperm donator is to impregnate individuals. So it really is counterintuitive to everything I stand for, as someone who does sperm donation, to provide children to the world. It kind of goes against everything I stand for. So I told you I was going to get you that ovulation kit, but I'm not. And you see her start to freak out and panic, like, oh my God, how could you be so disrespectful to my wishes? So the spiral is happening. I hope she gets that test, it comes back negative, and kick him out. Although it is a fascinating story. They both are very quirky individuals with their personalities. But there's something about her I kind of like, I find endearing. Not so much him. He's just unusual, and I think he's just going to toy with her mind and her emotions. So I don't like him very much. But I still do love 90 Day Love in Paradise. It's a good one. That whole thing with the threesome couple, and now they want to include her sister or cousin. He wants to now include his girlfriend's, I think it's her sister, right? Into their threesome. So I don't like that story, but that one is somewhat entertaining. And if we jump into talking about kind of a twisted threesome, let's get into a little bit, and I'm just going to touch on just a brief bit of politics. In the past few weeks here in the States, we've had a lot of trials happening that have been in the news, and they have a little bit of, it's a lot of political backing behind it, right? You had the Trump trials, and then you had the Hunter Biden trials. Now, it has been all of the news, and you can say whatever you want about your thoughts about the trials, if they should have happened, should they have gone through, what your opinion is in the verdict, whatever. But I'm going to focus in just for a moment on the Hunter Biden trials. Because coming out in the hearings with the whole Hunter Biden things is really a really sad family story, right? Yes, sure, he broke the law. He's been convicted of breaking the law, which is he filed for a firearm while he is a known drug addict, where he's someone who is under substance abuse. That is illegal. You cannot be under any form of abuse. It cannot be under any form of substance here in the U.S. and legally have a firearm, right? So that he falsified that application, and which makes it an illegal firearm to have, and it puts himself and everyone around him and in, the environment at jeopardy, at risk. So it's illegal. He was convicted of breaking the law, and he will have to therefore serve his time. But what I want to get about is the family story. And I kind of started tearing into this, segueing into the story with the whole threesome thing, right? And that threesome tie-in is really about the whole Hunter and his relationship that he had with his brother's widow wife, right? He had an affair with his brother Beau's wife after he passed away. Now, you hear about that a lot. You hear about that in shows, it's in movies, you hear about it, and sometimes around the kitchen table talk. Well, you know, when you've got your aunties talking about, have you heard about so-and-so? Did you hear about how he left it with the brother or the sister? That happens. It happens. But it also gets to the element of pain, of substance abuse, and just how widespreading those toxic tentacles can be of substance abuse, right? Of drugs. And the former widow of the brother Beau talked about how she dated Hunter Biden, and she was briefly dabbling in crack, and it was the most embarrassing and shameful time of her life. And it sounds like it. I mean, not only were you hitting the crack pipe, you're hitting your brother-in-law, for a booty call. It's wrong to me on so many levels. But who knows what happens when you are thrown in that type of extreme dysfunction, I guess. But it shows. But you got to get back to the human element of this family. I mean, you hear in these hearings the lifelong struggle that he had, Hunter Biden. And it's not only with drugs. Can we just go back to the fact that, look, I'm not a Hunter Biden fan by any means. By any means. I'm just coming in as a human level and as a parent, right? This guy has truly struggled his entire life, emotionally, psychologically. Let's not forget when Joe Biden's first wife, when she had that terrible car accident that ended up killing the wife, the daughter, I believe both Beau and Hunter Biden were in that car accident. Well, they survived. So not only does he have the extreme trauma of losing his mother and his sister and his entire world collapsing on him, also to have to survivor's guilt and to get over the physical and emotional pain of surviving, but then the survivor's guilt and the trauma following that. I'm not saying that is an excuse that gives him a pass for his poor decisions and bad habits and his drug abuse. But I could see how that trauma and lifelong, trauma like that, I don't know what to say, the psychological trauma, emotional trauma, how that does not kind of lead a path into some type of abuse, substance abuse or alcohol abuse or some type of substance abuse as a crutch. I could see how that affects so many, and I could see how that could lead him into that path of drug abuse. And it did. And that he's openly talked about it in his book, but it came out from different family members through the trials. And you just see how it affected everyone widespread. And you do not have to like Joe Biden politically at all. That's what this is not what this conversation about. This is about him loving his son. And I think that's quite profound. I mean, Joe Biden politically has said, I'm not going to pardon him. I'm not going to commence his term of his time, of his sentence. I will not do that. But what I will do is support and love my son. And even though he's fucked up a lot, and even Hunter Biden has said that. He said, I've had a life of privilege and opportunities given to me, and I've squandered it all away. And you hear it so much. You hear that so much with, Hollywood families and political families and those who have, a lot of wealth and opportunities. You hear that of the children. I was given a lifetime of wealth and opportunity, and I've done nothing with it, and I've abused it. But that is tragic. But just hearing the heart-wrenching testimony of the family members as they talk about their struggle and how Hunter Biden's drug addiction directly affected them, all of them, and just the albatross that it was on the family of it's really sad. And and it's definitely affected his father politically, for sure. There's no question about that. But I'm not talking about politics. I'm just talking about the struggle, the personal struggle. And I think that kind of just exposes something that no one, not one person on earth, no matter how wealthy you are, successful you are, whatever your economic status is, no one is free from a pain of how drugs or abuse of something can affect you, because it affects each and one of us some way, somehow. Maybe it's a family member, a friend, but no one is impenetrable of the absolute effect of drug abuse and alcohol abuse and just abuse in general. It affects everyone. So I feel that let that be the standout. Let that be the takeaway. Like I said, you can say what you want in either trial. You agree, you disagree, you think the trial should have happened, shouldn't have happened. You agree with the verdict, don't agree with the verdict, whatever. Let just the human element, it just made me so sad to hear this family put on their personal business on blast. And that's what you have to do. When you're on trial, you have to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. And as painful and as raw as it is, it's out there. And they talked about just stupid moves and actions and what a moronic lifestyle he lived for so many years under the influence. But the pain and struggle that affected everyone, I think everyone can relate to that. So let's just take that. I guess what I'm trying to say, when you see stuff like that play out and so publicly, maybe we should take a pause and reflect on our own selves, our own loved ones and friends. And, like I said, it affects everyone. Everyone is touched by some type of substance abuse, friend, family, whatever it may be. But just give that person a little bit of understanding and just try to understand them at their level. What is their pain? What is their suffering? Is there anything you can do to help them or make their day better? When you hear the importance of the phrase, how are you? To some who really need that check-in. It's important. We all need human connection. We all need a little bit of love, a little bit of kindness. So it's fun to judge when we're talking about these stories in the media that we pull out and break it down. Sure, that's fun. But let's bring it back to the basics. We're all human. We all need love and want to be loved. We all need kindness, and we all need to give kindness. Because at the end of the day, the world's a crazy place. And in certain pockets of the world, it's kind of on fire. But let's give back to each other and be kind to each other and love. And in true spirit of Pride Month, love is love. Love is kind. That's all, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Polywine. Feel free to join us on the Instagram on Polywine Time, YouTube, and anywhere you can find it on streaming services. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.